Welcome to the Winning with Shopify podcast. This is the podcast to help you scale your Shopify store into a money-making machine. Influencer marketing can deliver a high ROI and potentially turn your product into a success. But how do you start working with influencers? It's easy. Download the Afluencer app to your Shopify store. Afluencer has over 20,000 influencers looking to work with brands just like yours. And affordable micro-influencers can deliver great results on a shoestring budget. Afluencer is offering a free exclusive influencer strategy session to Winning with Shopify listeners to discuss your product and the best influencers for your business. Book your session at afluencer.com/WWS.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Winning With Shopify podcast. For anyone that's not tuned in before, it's such a pleasure that you've chosen to listen to this one. Maybe it was our pink branding, or maybe it's because we've got great content. You can decide. And if you do decide it's great content, please do hit the subscribe button, leave us a good review. If this isn't for you, that's absolutely fine. Turn it off now and listen to an awesome audiobook. But for everyone that's been tuning in before, welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's a pleasure having you guys listening. Again, I've been talking to so many of you the last few weeks. It's been a real pleasure. And a quick shout out to Phil. Phil, I love your emails. I've never shouted you out in the podcast. I think we're at like 10 or 11 emails now. Phil, who's based out in Norway, you're an absolute legend. So thanks so much for your emails. And I thought I'd give you a quick shout out today. You emailed me this morning. So I thought, why not share the love? So thanks so much for that. And for anyone else who wants to ask a question, check out winningwithshopify.com and fill out any of the forms on our website. And you can ask whatever questions you want. We're happy to give marketing advice. We're happy to try and schedule episodes. And most importantly, which I'm going to segue smoothly into the new topic I'm going to introduce now as well, is if you have any questions about influencer marketing or affiliate marketing or anything around that kind of sphere of things, then please do send your questions in. We've got some great guests coming up over the next few weeks, and that's what we're going to be talking about for November, is influencers and affiliate marketing. Kicking off today, we're going to be talking specifically about influencer marketing, and whether you call them influencers or not, which is something we might cover today as well, and we've covered previously, but influencer marketing through peak season and also beyond that as well. I'm joined by a really good friend of mine who's been on the podcast a few times before. You may remember his face, and if you listen to it, you may remember his voice as well. I'm joined by Brett Owens. Brett, welcome back.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for the warm intro.
Well, it's great to have you back. I'm so excited. And I have to give Brett a bit of credit as well. I didn't need to tell him anything before we hit record. Normally we give the guests a quick rundown of all the tech and everything, but it's great to have you back, Brett, for more reasons than one. But for anyone that's not heard from you before or tuned in before, give us a quick overview. What is Afluencer? Who are you? How did you get involved? Give us a quick breakdown on all the above.
Yeah, sure, Nick. Well, thank you. So as you know, since we've known each other for ages here, my previous background was in the affiliate marketing realm, so I started a company called Lead Dino back in 2012. We were live on the Shopify App Store in 2013, and we were a little affiliate tracking app. The app is still out there. I'm just not involved. We sold the company in 2021. It's an affiliate tracking app that helps Shopify merchants account for their affiliate sales. So you can give an affiliate link to someone, and we were kind of early on the social media side of things, so you could say, hey, if you can promote my t-shirt, my cosmetics product, my fitness program on your socials, Mr. Pre-influencer of that time frame, we're going to give you this affiliate link, and we'll give you 10 or 15 or 20% of sales. So affiliate marketing was kind of a big thing, I would say, throughout the 2010s. You saw the rise of influencers, maybe 2015, 2016. That started to become a thing, and that's where Afluencer kind of came out of. A spinoff from the Lead Dino days, where we said, hey, we kind of need an affiliate network, and that turned into, hey, we need an influencer and creator network. That was the common thread of Shopify store owners saying, cool, I got my affiliate tracking set up. Now how can I find my affiliates? Well, the answer is you got to go find them on your own. That's a really tough answer for someone who's wearing 10 different hats and trying to figure out this marketing channel. So that's where we came up with Afluencer, launched in 2019, and that's where we are today, matching Shopify merchants, especially up with those nano and micro influencers. So I would say the more approachable side of the influencer marketing world that really laser focused on a specific interest and the type of thing that you can work with someone on an affordable basis and get some high quality content produced and some sales as well.
Amazing. And I mean, you roll back the clock to 2013 there, which doesn't sound like a long time ago until I look at the calendar and realize actually it was 10 years ago now. Where has the time gone? But obviously, I mean, when it comes to like affiliate marketing specifically, if we talk about that just very briefly, for anyone that's sitting there going, what is affiliate marketing? as you say, it was all the rage, wasn't it? Because you kind of go, well, I'm only paying a percentage of the sales that I get. So I'm literally just going, I'm happy to give away 20% to just get me unlimited amounts of sales, and I'll give you 20%. And it's a really nice way to run a business. So why are people not just doing that? Why is that not enough? And why is it not happening as much as perhaps as it used to? Or how has it evolved?
Yeah, interesting, Nick. So from the brand or merchant standpoint, it's still happening or being attempted as much as before. Everyone knows they need an affiliate program, and they're using that as their approach to the influencer world. The problem is that anyone worth their salt, like in any profession, wants to be paid up front. So the influencers and creators of today, if you give them a 15% affiliate link, they've seen these all over the web. And to be honest, to be blunt, I've started just telling our brand straight up, because I do these calls kind of all day, and they'll ask me, why isn't this working? I say, look, I got to level with you. Nobody wants your stupid affiliate link. Just nobody wants it. They've got these 20% links everywhere. They don't care. Like, they'll take it, but then they're not going to do anything with it. So that's why you're falling on deaf ears, where you can rise above these million other links out there without having to do too much, by maybe providing a little free product, maybe providing like a modest paper post, even like $20, $25, $50, sets you above this mass of links out there that honestly these people don't want anymore. So that's where it's kind of changed. On paper, it still makes sense from the brand standpoint, and you see a lot of marketers, they still are going by that playbook, but honestly, it's outdated. It's a 2013, it's a 2016 type of playbook. It's not really resonating with the social media creators and influencers that we're all trying to reach, which is okay. We just have to recognize that and say, okay, well, it takes a little bit of a different approach. It's not that much more costly, but it can be a lot more effective in terms of adding that paper post element into it.
Yeah. I think the other thing as well, which you kind of touched on, but it suddenly came to mind, so I thought I'd mention that when you're just sending out these codes, you're not really actually vetting who's now talking about your brand and sending traffic into your brand, which, as someone who's worked in marketing for over 15 years, I know how important it is to keep the brand recognition at a good level. I think certainly when people are, say that someone's got some very kind of borderline content, and you can define borderline however you want, bit controversial, talking about maybe some things that you're like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that, suddenly going, hey, go and buy these trainers from this company. It feels a bit disjointed, and actually then people's view of that trainer company might also then start to become a bit borderline and go, well, these guys are in bed with this influencer or this website that I'm looking at, or this website I've seen. That's not okay, actually, and I don't know if I trust them as much. Whereas, as you say, perhaps instead of going to 50,000 sites, here's a discount code, discount code to use, and I'll give you some commission kickback as well. Instead of that, saying, actually, we're going to work with 5 or 10, but we're going to vet them. We're going to make sure that they are the right kind of people, talking about the right kind of thing with the right kind of audience. And so I guess my question really off the back of that is, how do you choose the right influencers, coupled with, once you've chosen them, how do you then get in contact with them and start a conversation?
Sure, I think that's a great scenario. I was working with someone last week, early this week. That's exactly what she's looking for, a cosmetics brand. She wants 4 or 5 good partners. So we talked through it. I think she had that affiliate program in mind at first. I said, do you really want for an affiliate program to be effective? Now you're looking at, okay, we got to recruit 1,000 people so that maybe only 5 will do something. And like you said, we don't know where they're throwing these clicks, these links, these discount codes. By the way, we need software to manage this. We need payouts. We got to calculate percentages. I know the software does it, but it still requires this constant input every month, where, again, you're kind of herding cats right all over the place. Versus, to your point, Nick, these 4 or 5 good partners who you can start with. Now, where do we find them? Well, that's where our platform comes in, because on Afluencer, we're segmenting, right? Because it's all about specificity. Now, you can go out and you can go on Instagram and you can do these types of searches. It's like any marketing. What we really want first is sort of that the focus match, right? So if we've got a health product, we've got a wellness product, we want, I know this sounds obvious to us, but a wellness-based influencer, right? That's something that we do lose even going up the chain to the celebrities, because the celebrities are going to have a very wide audience, the Kardashians, the Rocks of the world, right? We don't actually want the celebrities because it's too wide, their followers. We want,
and it's so expensive as well. That's the other killer thing, isn't it?
So expensive, right? So it's like a Super Bowl ad or something. You're one and done. World Cup commercial, right? You're one and done on this stuff, and maybe it works. Probably it doesn't. So we can say, okay, let's find these 4 or 5 people, and we can kind of define our range. And I like to define it by budget. So say, okay, what's our budget here? We can get started for as little as maybe $1,000, right? We're looking for 5 people, 200, 200, 200, 200, 200. What can we have them do for $200? Well, we can have them create, ideally, a video, because those are favored by the algorithms in Instagram and TikTok. So we can have 5 different people create videos for that. With our budget now, we're going to have that follower count. It's going to be taken care of, because we're going to have, ideally have them come to us, right, where they can have, people can volunteer. And we might have someone with 100,000 followers who's going to volunteer and come to us. And now what we're going to do is also set up criteria. And this is from the demographic or the marketing standpoint, where we can say, hey, I'm looking for a female influencer. I want followers between these ages. I can ship to the US, or I can ship to the UK, or I can ship to Australia, or I can ship to all the above. That's where I want my followers to be located in. So we've got that. And then most important is probably the interest, and to your point, Nick, on the brand, right? So we want to make sure that, hey, I've got a cosmetics product. I want a cosmetics influencer who's posting about skincare all day. And I also want to see her last 9 posts, or I'm going to see all of her latest posts. And I want to make sure that this is well aligned, and this is the type of person who I want presenting my product.
And I think that's the thing with this that is at your disposal. It takes a bit of time, but you can look at everything they've posted previously to actually decide, okay, is this person on brand, not on brand? The other thing that's always really good, I find, and this is a little bit of certainly when you're working with, I don't know, anyone remotely famous, whether, as you say, they're kind of a nano. I love that you kind of got micro and nano. I love the kind of breakdown and differentiation between them versus like the Kardashians. But you can certainly just go on Google, type in someone's name and click on Google News and see what's been said recently about them in the press. And I did this for a potential client a while ago, only to find out they'd been in prison. And my first thing was like, oh my gosh, they've been in prison. We don't want to be associated with these people. And then I looked what for, and I then realized that actually they got let out of prison because it turned out that they were innocent all along, and they were caught up in some business deal that had gone sour and had gone legal, but actually they were the ones trying to stop it. And they were actually working with the police, but the police like denied it all. It all got very, very controversial. It was all dealt with quite quickly. But it's that, I think it's doing that digging and finding out who are these people that are actually going to be talking about my brand or I'm going to be working with. But as you say, it's all there. But if you find something quite slightly controversial, that's like the one I wrote down is with wellness. You could go for somebody that's like a wellness blogger or something, and then you could find out they're also an ambassador for McDonald's. And you go, well, hang on a minute. You can't be a gym enthusiast who's like running marathons and ultra marathons and Ironmans and stuff like that if they're also endorsing. And I've always found it funny at the football, or as you guys call it, soccer, where McDonald's sponsor the World Cup, and I'm just like, and Budweiser. I'm like, McDonald's and Budweiser are sporting event, and there they are. But I guess let's bring this around to peak then, like. How does this change in peak then? Should you just, like you do with everything in peak, spend more, work with more, and then pull the plug as soon as it's over? Like, what's a good approach? How should you change your strategy with influencers?
Yeah, ideally you're ramping up during peak season. So we may have worked with people so far this year, and now we're reaching back out to them. The collab, this is kind of our industry term, collab campaign. Yeah. That's our partnership together. The collab went well, and we're saying, okay, hey, we've got something for you November, December. We'd like to bring it back and do something, and here's what we're thinking. Now, in reality, hey, how many of us do our holiday shopping early, this and that, right? Okay, so maybe we're thinking towards starting in peak and then working beyond and then into next year. Well, same type of process, so we can still post and advertise our potential collab and say, hey, here's what we're looking for from a partner. We've got some opportunities during peak, and oh, by the way, this is something we hope is an ongoing opportunity. The nice thing about the influencer world is it does tend to be set up almost like a dating service on these one-time off things. So when we're talking about, hey, $200 to work with someone to produce a video, that's kind of a one-and-done type of situation. So we can have them produce a video, a reel, as Instagram calls it for us now. They can post. Maybe they'll let us repurpose if we work that out with them. And if everything works out, then yes, we can continue working together next year as well. So that's how we kind of flow things from peak into the 2024 and beyond then.
Nice, nice. And I made a joke to you just before we started recording. Anyone in the UK will know this phrase, which is "a dog isn't just for Christmas." Brett told me he's never heard of it, and obviously then I realised it's a British marketing campaign. But also, yeah, as you say, influencer marketing, and I think the whole thing about ramping stuff up is a really key point. It doesn't just apply to influencer marketing, but we've had some brands in the past that have said, do you know what, as soon as it's Black Friday, we're going to go mad on marketing, and then we're going to turn it all off on Christmas Eve and just stop again and just do nothing for a few months. The problem with that is you don't have any time to optimize and actually improve things. And it's certainly with the influencers, you say, making that connection with them and then saying, hey, we want to do something slightly different coming into peak. I think having that relationship pre-peak when everything's crazy and everything's hectic. And like you say, we all do our Christmas shopping a bit later than we'd probably like to admit. We all do our peak marketing as well later than we'd like to admit. And I think we'll all agree on that, even the most organized brand in the world where we've done it in January, which we genuinely do for clients, is we do a lot of it in January now. Even those guys, you get to peak and it's, what do we agree? What's happening now? What are we going to change? And it's like, and things are just kind of happening on the fly going, the boss said we could take 30% off just for 24 hours. Let's do it. And it's like, okay, but this is really well thought out. What's it going to do to damage the brand? And is it actually going to drive sales? And what's going to happen afterwards? And there's so much more to think about, isn't there, than just, okay, peak's coming up, let's spend all our money.
Yeah, exactly. And you made me think of turning everything off Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or day after Christmas, right? Well, if you look at the influencer creator world, a lot of these folks are looking for work all the time, right? And that's where if we have opportunities where we're taking inbound partners on a constant basis, maybe we'll have some work between the Christmas and New Year's, right, when everything's kind of dead. But you might be able to get a great deal from someone who they're just looking for work. You wouldn't have been able to afford them during peak. You couldn't have afforded them normally, but it's a slow week, and just the benefit of you having this collab open and you having a budget sparks this type of partnership. You can get in front of 200,000 followers, right, where that may not have been an opportunity otherwise. So I think there's definitely an argument for always keeping the lights on in this type of marketing as well, because you can get some great values when other brands aren't looking for influencers.
I think as well, between Christmas and New Year, there are two things that happen a lot. People do a lot of shopping because all the sales are on, whether it's online or it's physical shopping. On more than one occasion, we've spent like over a month's budget just on Boxing Day. It's the day after Christmas, a whole month just on a single day, and made it incredibly profitable. Because think about it, all that built up demand of like Christmas. Christmas is finished. Do you know what? I'm going to buy some new clothes. I'm going to see what deals are on. I'm going to go and look at what sales are on. So actually Boxing Day onwards, and that period between Christmas and New Year where a lot of people are on holiday, they're not back to work yet. They're scrolling on their phones. They're shopping online. It's all enjoyable. It all releases dopamine. Everybody's doing it. So I think actually it's a good opportunity to do that. And I can't remember what the second point was, but I did have a second point. But yeah, I think certainly over that time, turning it off suddenly, I think you're just slamming the brakes on the whole business. But also, as you say, with the influencers, they're looking for work all year round. So they might still film stuff and you agree all of it in November or early December, but posting it over that time, again, you've probably got more screen time, which is real estate in the social media world, than ever, I would say. But I guess the next question I want to talk about a little bit is, let's say you got your influencer strategy absolutely nailed. You've got nano, micro, and you've got a couple of macro ones as well. And you've got a good balanced strategy. It's all been working well all year. You're coming into peak. How should you be thinking about working influencer marketing into other channels? Are there any particular opportunities or any other channels that they're just such a sweet spot? They go hand in hand to use that content or link up certain paid partnerships?
Yeah. So great question, because this is a question that comes up all the time. Can I use the content? Influencer creates the content. Is it now mine?
Yeah.
It can be. That's the answer. So it definitely can be. Just make sure you clarify up front. By default, it is not. By default, if someone creates the content, it is theirs, and you want it to be theirs because you want them to post it on their socials, and we want to get their followers, and we want to take advantage of their presence, because a lot of the brands who are working with influencers are doing so because they have 451 followers on their Instagram, and nobody follows them and nobody cares. So that's why we're partnering with the influencer who has 40,000 followers, because people follow them and people care. Now, this is where we've got the gap, because the influencer creates the content, and now we as the brand want the video. The video is awesome. It's better than anything we've ever produced, right? We want to put it on our website, on our channels and stuff. That is generally fine. Just make sure that that is clarified up front. So if you want to be really formal about it, an agreement is great with the influencer. Hey, you're going to produce this. We would like you to post on your socials at the end. We would like to be able to use the content. So there are many ways you can phrase it, but just make sure that you come out with that up front. Because yes, that's the most natural synergy is you can get this 2-for-1, where you can get the user-generated content, the UGC everyone wants, and the influencer post. But just don't take it for granted. Just make sure that that's what you're getting up front. And you can just say, hey, we're looking for UGC. Influencers are used to this. They're happy to do it. Just don't assume, right? It's kind of like going over to somebody's house. Be polite and get this all up front. But with that, then, if you're getting the UGC created, that is pretty big because now you've got all this great content out there that you can post, again, on your own site. You can share on your socials, and it makes you look a lot cooler than you previously were. So that's the most natural synergy to get this all going. We're also playing around with some synergies, and we've written a couple articles. Actually, I should have sent them to you, Nick. Our SEO guy wrote them about SEO and influencer stuff, where you kind of have these two synergies where SEO, as you know, it builds up over time, right? It's kind of that world domination strategy, but it's a multi-year process. It takes content and links, and it is a constant thing. And then on the influencer side, that is more of a today. We can get something going. We can get a video posted. Hopefully it goes viral, gets a little bit of traction going. But there are now with the search engines, and again, this is something I'm sure you can speak to better than I can, but the emphasis on socials, right, is only a good thing as we're looking to build that SEO presence. So there's some extra synergies that we're getting from the influencer side. We can hopefully replace like the ads that we're doing, the paid ads on sites like Facebook, right? So instead of having to pay for those or paid Instagram ads, why not just go organic on that front? So work with the influencers on that side. So that's another potential synergy or almost a redirection where you can have that organic stuff that can kind of replace the paid stuff that you're doing with Facebook itself.
Yeah. I think one of the most amazing things I've seen recently, and this kind of ties in with what you were just saying actually about getting in front of their audience and your audience being low. I completely agree. It's always that chicken and egg, isn't it? We need to pay something to get in front of people, but we also need to have the good product and the brand so people like us and want to follow us and everything else. But the thing I saw recently that I thought was amazing is one of my friends who's an influencer, she did a takeover of this tiny little brand. No one had ever heard of them. They had about 200 followers, so half of what you just said. 200 followers. She did a takeover of their Instagram for the day. So she posted 4 posts throughout the day. She did a couple of lives, and then she also did a load of stories. Now, what she was doing is she was actually wandering around their site. So where their warehouse is, where they make the products, where they ship the products, and then also around the shop. And then she helped make a couple of the displays in the window that were going to stay up there for a week. So now, she wasn't even necessarily, she was holding the phone, but all the content was housed on their Instagram. It's their content. So she was on the face of it, and they'd paid her to go there for the day. So I think you've got to get creative about these things, but then that wouldn't work for other brands. So it's working out what works for your brand as well, which I thought, again, it's a chicken and egg. You've got to test something to know what works. And actually, failure is not such a bad thing in marketing. It certainly tells you what avenue not to run down. But I guess the only other point I'd make as well is perhaps email. So you've always got people on email. We've just done 3 months on email on the podcast. So it's like one of the freshest things in my mind. But certainly on email, you could send out emails with somebody's face that is recognizable or something quite cool that was going on, especially to people that are unengaged with your brand. You know, people that have obviously not unsubscribed, but the people that haven't engaged in a while, they haven't purchased in a while, they haven't clicked on an email, they haven't been on the website. And then suddenly just send them, do an email marketing thing out to those guys with a subject saying, guess who stopped by, ... And you kind of leave it hanging, and then you open the email. It's like, oh my gosh, this person looks amazing, or I've heard of this person. This person's cool. And there's some sort of challenge, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like I saw one for a phone case where they dropped it off the top of the highest building. I think it was in Australia, in Sydney. And they dropped it off, and it literally landed on the street down the bottom. And it was like they were terrified about the wind moving this thing and hitting a car and killing someone. But absolutely amazing. And there was an influencer who dropped the phone off the top, and there was another one at the ground who then saw it on the radio. And you're like, okay, that's a good phone case. And the phone at the bottom, they made a call on it, it worked fine. And there was no scratches or anything. The phone case worked. So it's that's a cool piece of content. I think, as you say, there's so many different channels you can start engaging it. It's amazing for SEO to get those links in, get that awareness, and get in front of another audience. I guess one of the questions then about audience size, you mentioned kind of nano, you mentioned micro audiences. Is there any kind of formula, or does it come down to money in terms of going, we're this big right now and we want this? And is it always followers? Is it actually we want web traffic and sales? Can it vary? Is there one that works better than others?
In terms of rules of thumb or kind of going rates out there, so I would say Instagram, number of followers, and then the range based off of that is kind of the standard right now. Not that there aren't other metrics. So to your point, Nick, yes, some people have websites. Yes, some have more followers on TikTok, some here or there. But and perhaps it's because it's the platform the brands are still most comfortable on. But Instagram, number of followers, regardless of almost anything else, is kind of the standard. Now, within that, there are wide ranges, but I'll give you the current going rates, and then I'll tell you how to get better deals than these. On the nano influencer sides, we're generally looking for up to 10,000 followers. So from that 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 up to about 9,000. So think of the four-figure numbers of followers, right? So that's kind of the nano range. The going rates for a nano between $10 and $100 a post, roughly. In my experience, you can get a better deal than that if you do what we said before again. If you post something where you say, hey, here's our collab, and then you let the influencers come to you and you post it for $40, you'll have people with 10,000 followers, 9,000 followers who will work for $40. So that's just kind of how it works. If you go out to Instagram and you ask someone with 4,000 followers what their cost per post is, they'll tell you $50 to $100. So they're always going to quote you. It's like anything, right? If someone comes up to us, asks us our rates, we're going to give them our list price, right? So that's what kind of the going list rate. And then the micro, which is kind of the next interesting one, that's roughly 10 to 50,000 followers. And again, that's based off of Instagram. And from there, we're in the $100 to $500 a post range. But again, in practice, if you're posting it where micros can see and they can apply to you, 200, 250 to 300 can really get you some micros with 50 or even higher, up to maybe 100,000 types of followers. So it's getting a little bit of a numbers game where what you want to do is kind of establish yourself, hey, here's what we're paying, and we're looking for people to apply. And again, you can also split these types of things up where this is our nano influencer opportunity, this is our micro influencer opportunity. But I find it best if you split up by your compensation, you let people come to you, you just get a better deal than if you're randomly DMing people on Instagram, it's fine. Yeah. You'll get a few replies, but again, when you ask what their rates are, you're going to get the high end of those rates. You're going to get 100 per post for micros, or 100 for nanos, 500 for micros.
There's also the intent, though, isn't there? Right there, I completely agree that if you reach out, it's like, who are these guys? Like, here's my rate. Whereas if they reach out to you, they're like, I want to work with you. I see a benefit to me beyond the money, which might be your audience. It might be developing something slightly more. I'm going to ask something slightly more controversial now about Instagram followers, because you can buy followers. So how do you avoid just going after someone that's got like 1 million followers or 500,000 followers? And then you look at the posts, and this is the way I do it anyways. You look at the post and you go, they're only getting 10 likes a post. This audience is not engaged. This is not worth my time. How do you tiptoe around those guys? How do you avoid them? Should you avoid them? Is there actually some value in there?
No, there's no value in them. So you're absolutely right.
Okay, cool.
We want to avoid them. No, there's no value. And the way we avoid them is by checking their engagement rate. This is something we have built into Afluencer where we strongly encourage our influencers to connect their Instagram accounts with their Afluencer account. What that lets us do is pull information directly from Instagram in terms of insights about their analytics. So we're able to see not only the number of followers, but we can just see their engagement rate straight up. We can see per post how many likes, how many comments they've had on recent posts. So this engagement rate is going to be the number of likes, which you mentioned, and also adding in the number of comments that they're getting on average per post. And that's the thing that you can't fake, right? So if you have fake followers, they're not leaving fake likes and comments. Like once they're following you, it's done. It's a fake account. So it's the engagement rate that we're looking for. And we're not just looking for like this baseline. We're looking for an average to above average engagement rate per the number of followers. So the engagement rate does tend to decline it's natural as your follower count goes up, because it's more than just your mom and your grandma and your dog who are following you, right? And engaging in everything that you're literally posting. So it does tend to trend down, but we like to kind of plot that over. That's our x-axis, and we plot that, and then the engagement rate is the y, and we say, okay, this person has 70,000 followers. Where do we expect their engagement rate to be, and where is their engagement rate? And we want it to be generally at or above the average for our platform, which we think of as a bit above average anyway. And that's how we're going to vet that person. If it's below, just move on. There's not a lot of value with low engagement. So this is one of those dark sciences where influencer marketing is new, and there's not a lot of ROI baked in terms of showing you that concretely, which is good in that there's a lot of opportunity. It's not Google AdWords where every value has been arbitraged out for the last 20 years. I mean, when I started doing AdWords in 2004, I could get it to work kind of. Now it's, we're spending money. We do it a little bit, but you're not getting any value, right? Influencer marketing is different, where you can get a lot of value. You can also waste your money. The best way to know is that engagement rate. That's the best leading indicator of how someone's going to sell for you. So, you want to look for someone with the average to above average, and you just ignore the people who don't.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really big thing, the fake followers, 3-4 years ago. I think just before COVID hit. I remember reading a report that was like 30% of... In fact, do you remember when Twitter deleted about 50% of all Twitter accounts? Just overnight, it was just like, these are all spammy fake bots. They're all gone. And it's like their share price like shot up. And it was like, wow, Twitter is smaller now, but it's worth more and it's more valuable to everybody because there's less crap, basically. But I think I love the thing you were saying about the engagement rate. And as your following grows, I guess the other thing is your following grows over time, which means you're going to end up with 10, 20% of your followers. They followed you like 6-7 years ago now. Like, it's a long time. They probably don't engage. You're probably not going to engage with the same influencers for that long. But I think also the engagement rate, I would say it's a good sign that the influencer themselves are engaging. So it's not just about the fake followers or real followers. They're creating content people want to engage with, which actually means you can expect probably to get more no's than yeses from those guys when you reach out to say, I really want to work with you. They'll say, I'm sorry, you're not bang on brand right now. Or could you send me some more information about your policy on the environment or something? Because that's really big to my followers. And my followers follow me because I'm trying to be, good, basically.
That's a great insight on the responsiveness, right? Because they're already engaging with their followers. And what we also like is that if we're going to work with them and they're going to post something, I don't want them to post and walk away from the post. If their followers are commenting, I would like them to be in there and engaging in the conversation, right? And that's another benefit of the micros, especially the nanos and the micros, is that they are going to reply to almost every comment that one of their followers leaves, and they realize that it's not about their follower count per se. It's about their engagement, and they know that, okay, I'm going to keep engaging, and that's how I'm going to keep growing my presence, my business, my creative empire here. And that's what we want when we're working with influencers, is that they are replying to every comment and that they're in there and they're saying, hey, we do collabs with Afluencer. And I love it when the influencers come back and say, oh, yes, I use it. And they start replying. It's like having an advocate out there just all over the thread, which is perfect, exactly what we want.
Nice. I love that. And I guess the other thing with influencers as well is you don't want to start a relationship with an influencer and then find quite quickly that actually they're damaging your brand or harming what's going on. So the flip side of what we're talking about now, of finding a good influencer that's really engaged, because they might tick all those boxes and then actually post something slightly harmful about your brand that you've paid for as well. So I guess, a massive question is, how do you think brands should manage that? Because in my experience, I think that's one of the biggest fears that brands have about trying this is, it's the same with reviews. We don't want to launch a review platform. Everyone's just going to moan about us. And it's like, well, look, be a good business, and then you can get lots of good reviews and show how great they are. So how do you do that in the influencer world when it goes wrong? There's lots of ways to obviously avoid it going wrong, but let's say it's happened. They put a post out and you're like, oh my gosh, we're ruined as a business. That is awful, and we've paid for it. What do you think should happen next? Or how do you deal with that situation?
Sure. So one thing, you can always get ahead of it and ask to see the content before it's posted. And in my experience, most influencers are happy to do that. They're happy to send you either a preview of the post or the video, right? So you can say, hey, send it to me before you post, before it goes live. So that's going to get in front of most of these cases. As you mentioned, as we talked about before, we're also checking. I mean, we can see every post they've ever made from the start of time until now. So we can also do our due diligence on that front. Okay, let's say, despite our best efforts,
it's all failed.
500 posts, our best efforts, right? 500 posts for whatever reason, we didn't get the content before, or we blew it off, or something. They post and it's a disaster. From that front, if we want it taken down, I would just ask to get it taken down. It's usually, again, it's not a big deal because this is not their core content. They're doing something because we hired them for the task, right? For the collab. Ask them to take it down if it's no good. Now, I always am big on settling up with people. So if I paid $200 and they posted this thing and it's a disaster, what I would do personally is I would ask them to take it down. I would pay them the $200 and I would just say thank you, stay in touch, and then I would never work with them again. But I would at least tell, right? Yeah. I would keep it on the up and up. I don't think you're gonna have a problem getting something taken down if it's off brand. But I do like to keep it on the up and up with everyone. Hey, let's stay in touch, and of course we'll never talk again. But at least got everything settled down there.
Yeah, I saw a post the other day online that was like a list of phrases and what they really mean, and stay in touch was we're never talking again, but we want to leave amicably, which I thought was good. Awesome.
Touch. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, you've mentioned this once already, and I want to finish on this topic and talk about this at the end as well. So this all sounds great, but loads of people are going to be sitting there listening and going, okay, Brett, this sounds awesome. Like, yeah, I can afford $100 or $1,000 or $2,000 to do some stuff with some influencers and see what happens. So my question really is, what should their expectation be of what they're going to get back? And kind of sub-question, I love asking a sub-question. The sub-question is going to be, and what are they getting back? Is it followers? Is it product sales? Is it just general awareness? Is it email subscribers? Can they decide? And all the above.
Yeah. Let's kind of break this down then, Nick. So if we look at someone let's start there. I think it's a great place to start the budget, right? Okay, we're looking to, I've got $100, I've got $500, I've got $1,000, I've got $2,000, right? Whatever. Okay.
You're just showing off now,
Let's
Brett.
start
That's
there
a lot
and
of
let's
money.
Split it up and let's... Right, so let's break it down into 5 partners.
Yep.
So if you've got the $100,
cool.
let's break it down into 5 $20 posts, and we're gonna work with nano influencers by default. So we're going with 5 $20 posts, and maybe we owe them some free product too, maybe not. So that might increase the budget a little bit there, but we're looking for 5 partners, and what we want are 5 unique pieces of content. Might be tricky to get a video produced for $20, but I think we can at least get a static post on that front. And then, we're looking for, ultimately we're doing this for sales. So we are looking for sales on that front. We'll take the spin-off benefits, and for $100, we've got to have some measured expectations here. But I think we would like to see, if not sales, the potential to sell. What we're doing is we're trying out the 5 people, and we're looking for the most promising, right? Because we're looking for a repeatable process. It's not just putting $100 in the slot machine. We are to an extent, but we're looking for the 1 or 2 people who are best, and we can work with them again. And then when we spend our next 100, we might rehire the 1 or 2 people. So we're looking for the sales primarily, and then we've got our secondary goals and our marketing funnel, and whether that is email subscribers, followers on Instagram, all of the above, right? Traffic to the site. That's all nice. The content, unique content, right? That's nice. It's secondary. We are trying to get this to be a self-sustaining marketing channel at the end of the day. So, sales are the end goal. We don't just do it once and say, okay, well, that didn't work, so we're done with influencer marketing forever. Our $100 didn't return. But that is the goal, is to get these sales coming. So we want to be able to see that we're at least on a path to that. And then we would just follow that same process with a higher budget, right? With $1,000, I would probably split it up 5 ways into $200. And at that price point, we can get a video or reel, and we can work with micro-influencers. And now we're looking at 20, 30, 40,000 followers. So now we're kind of cooking on that front. And if we had $2,000, I would actually just say, let's hire like 10 people. Let's stay at that $200, maybe $300 price point, and let's just do a lot from there. So you can always increase the per post size later. Early on, I like having these high quality partners, so different from the affiliate world where they're just higher quality. But we have a few of them, right? So we've got these 4 or 5 dedicated people that we're going to work with, we're going to try out, and we hope that 1 or 2 or 3 do a great job and we can keep working with them.
Yeah, nice. I love your approach to like, let's start with $100 and then work our way up. I know that was down, up. But yeah, I think starting small and working our way up and focusing on sales. I'm glad you said that. I've spoken to so many social media and PR agencies. They're like, oh, it's not about sales. And you're like, and I'm sitting there in the meeting going like, do you realize who you're talking to here? Like these guys, they get given a marketing budget and they have to prove that's made money or they won't get it again. Or they get fired and someone else gets it in their replacement. So like when they say like, oh, it's not about money, it's like everything is. I'm sorry. We're in business here. Like it has to be, because if it's not profitable, how are we going to pay people? How are we going to send products out? And what was the point of all of this in the first place? Like, it's got to be about money at some point. But to turn the question into kind of like stage 2 then. So when you get to like the 2000, as you say, like, let's just go crazy and hire 10 or even 15 influencers now. And just let's get the message out there. We're really cooking. I love that phrase. And we're starting to get some good sales in. How much work is that? Like, do you need to start thinking about hiring someone to work with that many people? Does your platform make that easy? Do the influencers tend to have lots of questions? Or is it pretty kind of, here's my brief. Cool. Here's the content. Cool. Post it. Like, how smooth is this process? How much time is this going to take up?
Yeah, if I would say it's person dependent. If you're like me, hiring influencers, you can do it yourself because I give them full creative control. I just say, hey, here's what we're looking for, but you're better than I am at this, so you create something awesome. I'm of the opinion I don't need to see it. You can just post it and send me the link when it's live. They will send me the stuff. But yeah, we're pretty automated in terms of being able to evaluate. So from our platform, from an Afluencer standpoint, we're defining the criteria and we're applying the criteria. So if an influencer does not meet your criteria in terms of do they have 5,000 or more followers, do they have followers in the US or the UK or wherever we're looking to promote our product, are they beauty, like laser focused on beauty and skincare? And if they're not, we're not looking to talk to them, right? So we're already filtering on these applicants. So they should be pretty well aligned when they come in. And then we're doing a check on their content, right? Their brand, their engagement rate, see if we want to work with them. And then we're messaging with them. And we can do a welcome message that I kind of have that dialed in. So say, hey, here's what we're looking for. So I've got each collab where it says, hey, this collab, I can offer you $200. We're looking for a reel. We would like it. Tell me where you can post it, this type of thing. And then hopefully you can do Instagram, TikTok, and that type of thing. So you can move pretty fast
nice.
once you get it going. And again, I experience other brands, other Shopify merchants. Yeah, typically it'll be the marketing person who does run this. Now you can hand it off at some point if you're scaling it, but it's always good to have the person in charge of the channel just get stuff dialed. And honestly, once you get it dialed, the platform can do a lot for you. And hopefully with these influencers, if you're working with people and it works, when we work with them a couple of months from now, I mean, that's kind of a plug and play where we know what we're paying them, they know what content they're producing, and then hopefully they are sending. And again, to your point, Nick, the sales, right? Sales come in again, and we just kind of keep doing that. So as we get more comfortable with people, it's a little more work. It's like dating again. To use that analogy, but the first time it's more work to get to know, and then the people you already are working with, that's kind of not to be an old married couple, but at least it's something you've been there before in terms of working together on the partnership.
I like that. And I think, two points I just want to emphasize that you've said that I think are really key to this. One is building that relationship. And I think there's certainly people going to work with long term. Why not say to people the first time you work with them, look, we're looking for long term influencers to work with, long term partners. Don't be upset if we don't work long term with you. That's fine. And like you said earlier, we're still going to pay you whatever. But this opportunity, go and show us what you can do. And you'll find that maybe 1 in 5, 1 in 10, they really invest the time and they come back to, is this okay? I've made 5 edits. I know you only asked for 1, but here's 5. And if you like all 5, you're welcome to pay me for them as well, and we can launch all of them. But I want to do stuff with you guys. I want to make this work. So yeah, you tell me what you need. The second point I really want to emphasize is the very first thing you said on that response to my question, giving them creative freedom. There's nothing worse. The first thing that I did, PTSD hit me like immediately in my brain of like clients who have come in and gone, we want to do our SEO or our PPC like this. And I'm like, why are you hiring us? Like, what do you want me for? Like, I wouldn't do it like that. And you're asking to hire me. I do it like this for these reasons. I think this will make you a lot more money. And that's what, if you hire us, that's what you're hiring us for. And so I think giving them creative freedom, especially if the content's going out on their channel, because the last thing you want to do is create something that's rubbish. You pay for it, you send it out, you get no sales, and also you've annoyed the influencer because their fans are going, "What the heck are you doing a post to these guys for?" Like, this video is rubbish, not up to your usual standard, or you only get half the likes you normally do. Like, there's a risk for them, which I think is why I think kind of adding one at a time, almost one influencer at a time, and then kind of going, right, they're cool long term. This time now we're doing the next round of things, for the next month, let's add another one or another two and keep building on that. If you think about it that way, if you're adding one a month, in 2 years, you can have 24 influencers. All their audiences are probably grown. And if you want something, you get it immediately because you're the person they've been working with for however many months or years now. So yeah, I think it's great. Well, Brett, it's been great to have you on. I really appreciate your time. And the most important question of the entire day, if people are sitting there going, all right, Brett, I need Afluencer, which I call it Afluencer, apologies, just because the word affluent, which is used a lot in the UK. But how can people reach out to you if they want to check out your channel, check out your platform and your website?
Yeah, either good, Nick. For whatever reason, Lee Dino was the only company I started that didn't have two ways to pronounce it. My previous company was the same. There were two ways to pronounce. Afluencer, Afluencer. We've had discussions with the U.S. Patent and Trade Office about Afluencer sounds too close to affluent. And that so there's that in terms of being able to trademark something, but that's a boring legal discussion. Anyway, Afluencer, Affluencer, whatever you want to call it, I am totally cool with it. The important thing is to download it. So we've got it, or download, I guess I'm showing my age here, but you can add it to your Shopify store. That's the easy way to do it, Afluencer. So we've got an app for Shopify. Most people listening to this, Shopify store owners. So you just add the app. That's the easiest way to do it. Get you up and running. Our Shopify plan is a great value for you, and away you go. So that'll do it with one click. There's a 30-day free trial. You can chat with me, do a one-on-one strategy talk. So that's a special that we're offering for Winning with Shopify listeners also. So we can kind of look at and what you and I did, Nick, so we can look at your specific product and say, okay, here's the types of influencers we're looking for. Here's how we want the collab to present. Here's the strategy. Here's the budget, so on and so forth. So that's the easiest way. Website also, if any influencers, creators are listening, you can sign up with us also. So directly from our website, as well as non-Shopify brands or Shopify hopeful brands on our website, Afluencer.com.
Amazing. And if anyone didn't get any of that, is like, oh my gosh, I'm driving right now, I'm running or something, listening to the podcast. We'll also put all this information in the description as well. And if you subscribe to our email list, you'll get information about this every week for the whole of November. So yeah, it'll be awesome. Well, Brett, thank you so much for your time. It's been great to have you on, mate.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Great to catch up with you.
Great stuff. And for everyone listening, back again next week. We're going to be talking to some of Brett's customers over the next few weeks and a few other brands as well. So make sure you stay tuned. We post every Friday. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. Thanks for tuning in.